Okay, 10.3. Yo mam ajamanadim cha veti loka maheshwaram asammudah samartyeshu sarvapapai pramuchyate. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme lord of all the worlds, he only undeluded among men is freed from all sins. Pramuchyate. Pramuchyate means delivered. So this verse is also in another way telling that one who knows Krishna, Krishna's transcendental position, he only undeluded, asammuda. Asammuda means not bewildered by the material world around us. Undeluded is freed from all sins. So just by knowing Krishna's supreme position, one is delivered. One is freed from all sins. Purport. As stated in the 7th chapter, Manushyanam Sastreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhaye. Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. It is very important to understand. Mostly, we always look at ourselves, look at others who are not practicing Krishna consciousness, and we seem to compare ourselves with them and say, okay, they also have problems, I also have problems, they also do similar work, I also do similar work, so there is no difference. No. Those who are engaged in this whole process of Krishna consciousness are not ordinary people. Prabhupada is making that clear. They're superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. How many people really know who they are? That, you know, you're spirit soul, you're not this body. It may be that we are not necessarily on that platform yet, but just the fact that we know that we are not this body itself makes us apart from the rest of this world. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. So there are karma yogis, there are jnana yogis, there are ashtanga yogis, but the most superior of them all is bhakti yogi. Because he knows Krishna's supreme position. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reactions. Now why? How can one become completely free from all sinful reactions? Because when one understands Krishna's supreme position, then he'll surrender to Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Then when we surrender, what does Krishna do? Am tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayami. Krishna frees us from all sinful reactions. So for one to surrender to Krishna, he must be very convinced about Krishna's supreme position. Only then will he surrender. Otherwise, why will we surrender to somebody? Unless we know that they are far superior to us, to everybody else around us. Only then will we surrender to Krishna, that such a person. So that is why this knowledge about Krishna is very important. Which is what Bhagavad Gita is, middle 6 chapters focuses on helping us understand Krishna's supreme position. So that once we know his supreme position, then we will be willing to surrender to him. And once we surrender to him, we are free from all sinful reactions. Here the Lord is described by the word Aja, meaning unborn. But he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the 2nd chapter as Aja. Living entities are also Aja because Atma is never born. So Atma is also Aja, but the Lord is also Aja. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. So Lord is different from from other living entities. Most of us are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. Prabhupada very simply in one statement gives us the reason why we are taking birth again and again, simply because of material attachment. But we should understand, if we still have material attachment, then we will have to take birth again. We should come to the stage of zero material attachment. Now, this is not an artificial process. Bhakti is not an artificial process. Bhakti is not a process of saying no, 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 neti, neti, neti. Bhakti is a process of saying, accepting Krishna. Yes, I want Krishna. I want Krishna's service. I want Krishna Prasadam. I want Krishna's devotees. I want everything related to Krishna. So when we become attached to Krishna and everything related to Krishna, then automatically material attachment will stop. And without reaching that stage, we will not, we will have to come back to this material world. If we still have material attachment, then we come back. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. His, in capital Krishna, his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the 4th chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, Atma Mayaya, not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the words Veti Loka Maheshwaram indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He is the supreme proprietor. He is the Maheshwara. He is the supreme controller. He was existing before the creation. He is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world, but as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. We know this. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all the other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets. Sri Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created, and anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So this is now, there is one more thing Prabhupada is saying here. So there's a little bit of a cycle here. See, if you observe these two sentences, one must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in knowledge of Supreme. And once a person has knowledge about Supreme, then he immediately becomes liberated from sinful reactions. Is this clear? So there is one where there is talking about sinful activity. So which means that if we stop sinful life, basis of which are the 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. If one is liberated, means one is freed from, which means that one is not engaged in sinful activities, then that person can come to the knowledge of Supreme Lord. That means people who are engaged in sinful activities cannot understand Krishna. Those not engaged in sinful activities can understand Krishna, and anyone who can understand Krishna becomes free from the sinful reactions. Now, this sinful reactions is from the past lives. Oh, this is very nice. So in this life, we should become. So actually, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, he told them saying that it's okay. You were sinful in the past. That's okay. But going forward, don't live sinfully. Live a pure life. Then I'll deliver you. So the idea is, before we come into Krishna consciousness, we might be not living a very pure life. But once we come into Krishna consciousness, especially when we take shelter of a guru, then we should stop all sinful life, all sinful activities. Then we will develop knowledge of Krishna. Then once we develop knowledge of Krishna, then we surrender to Krishna. Then Krishna takes away all our sinful reactions. So that means no more suffering for such a devotee. Of course, Krishna sometimes gives us some kind of suffering because of various reasons to help us get out of our material attachments, etc. But those are not really our karma phala as much as Krishna's mercy. Only by devotional service can he be known. Sevan mukhehi jivado swayam eva spuratyada. When we engage in his service, then he will reveal himself. Krishna is not a matter of some study. I will read and understand Krishna. No. We cannot read about Krishna and understand him. When Krishna reveals himself to us, then only we can understand him. Because Krishna is achintya. So only by devotional service can he be known. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Krishna is known as the son of Devaki, then how can he be unborn? Prabhupada is saying son means that he is born to a mother. He is the son of Devaki, which means that he is born. Then how can he say that he is unborn? That is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form. And then he transferred himself into an ordinary child. So he appeared as a four-armed Vishnu Rupa. Then, based on prayers of Devaki and Vasudeva, he transforms himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. Literally anything. But direction of Krishna means either directed directly by Krishna or by his representative, Guru. We cannot whimsically just do something and say this is under the direction of Krishna. No. The Guru says or Sadhu says, or like in Arjuna's case, Krishna himself said, only then we will know whether we are actually situated in transcendental. Sometimes we do something material and then attribute, and they simply want to say that no, this is actually spiritual. That's just cheating. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions. So anything which is done for Krishna cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious, which is papa or punya. So there is no papa or punya. That is why it is called akarma. Akarma means where there is no karma phala. Anything done for Krishna is akarma. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Prabhupada is making it very clear. There is really nothing auspicious here. Everything is inauspicious because everything is keeping us away from Krishna. Everything is inauspicious because the very nature is inauspicious, very material nature is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. This is real auspiciousness. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is a representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Master, saintly persons, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So this is the trio. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from reactions of pious or impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation. Transcendental attitude in the performance activities. So whatever activities we do, if it is connected to the material world, then we should just do it as a matter of duty without any attachment. This is sannyas. And anything done which is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, activities done for Krishna, must actually be done with attachment. Material activities should be done with detachment. Spiritual activities should be done with attachment. That is called sannyas. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities, anashrita karma phalam, is a true renouncer. We already discussed this. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of a sannyasi or a pseudo yogi. It's amazing purport, long purport. So the whole point is that we have to understand Krishna. We have to live a life of devotion to be able to understand Krishna. Many people in India say that they're devotees of Krishna, but they just do whatever they want. That doesn't make one a devotee. A devotee is one who lives as per the guidance, direction, instructions of Krishna, as per his expectations. And whereas Krishna set his expectations clearly in Bhagavad Gita, additionally, still more finer instructions are there in Bhagavatam. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to actually show how a devotee lives. So if one is living a life like that expected, like what Krishna, like how Krishna expects, then he can call himself a devotee, and such a person is freed from all sinful reactions. Okay, anybody has any questions?
Yes, so I have a question.
Yeah.
In that line where it is said that we should just be doing our duty by not taking shelter
Of the fruits.
right? So this means that all the material activities, right? So all the material activities should be performed with that. Even for spiritual activities also, we should not take proprietorship, right? Because that is also for the pleasure of the Lord.
Yeah, everything has no proprietorship, but here it's not so much about proprietorship as much as the fruits. Which means that we should not do material work because we are expecting fruits. Similarly, we should not do spiritual activities also by expecting fruits. The only expectation should be it should please Krishna. Not that, oh, if I do this, then I will be honored. If I did so much of service, nobody, thanked me or nobody called out my name. Everybody else's name was called out, was announced. That is also expectation. And that is also material. So whether it is material or spiritual activities, we should not have any expectation from the result of the work, except for pleasing Krishna.
Okay, so even material activities, if done with complete detachment, can actually please Lord.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that is the standard expected. Krishna throughout Bhagavad Gita says whoever is engaged in karma should do it without attachment to result, and that pleases Krishna.
Yeah, but then a question might be raised that why a person will continue to do any material activities, right? Because there might be a sense of belongingness to do only devotional service, and there might be a contradiction that should we leave that material service, which is for the sense of duty, or completely devote ourselves in devotional service.
Yeah, so once you have entered a particular ashrama, one has to take up the responsibilities of that ashrama. If somebody is in Grihastha ashrama, then he has to work, because otherwise how will he maintain his family? If he doesn't have a need to maintain his family, if he has enough resources, then he doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
This line about suffering, how do we differentiate? You were mentioning it might be due to karma phala. Certain devotees might be directly under Lord's supervision. So how do we differentiate that?
Okay, so interesting question. So so it depends on the amount of extent of surrender. So if we are actually completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, and we are living a life with practically no expectation of sense gratification, or not seeking any material pleasure, then how do we know? It's difficult to know. That is why devotees actually say take the other route. Devotees normally think that, okay, I'm having suffering. Actually, I should be having more suffering. Because I don't deserve such a comfortable life. I possibly done lot more, lived lot more sinful life than what I'm going through. So devotees normally think that way, than thinking that it is Lord's arrangement. Now, for people who are like sannyasis and very advanced devotees, we can see suffering in their life. But that suffering is just to set an example. That suffering is just to show that, irrespective, my devotees just dedicate themselves to my service. So we can understand, because anybody who is 24 hours engaged in devotional service without any material motivation, they are fully surrendered, and Krishna will take care of such devotees. So normally, and especially if they've been in that state for a long time, not that somebody just started engaging in full-time devotional service, not such people. Devotees who have been in that state for a long time, such devotees, actually Krishna completely takes up responsibility of such devotees. Because ananyas chintayanto maya jana paripasate. Right? So such people, such devotees will actually not have any karma phala, but still we might see some semblance of karma phala. But for most of us, like we are in neophyte stage, our suffering clearly is because of karma phala. We can be very sure that it's because of karma phala, because this platform is when we have got rid of all our sinful reactions. That means that we should have crossed anartha nivrati stage. We should at least be in nishta, beyond nishta stage of devotional service. Then we can think maybe it is not my karma phala, maybe some, but that's for mostly exalted devotees. That's not for regular, like I said, neophyte stage, it will not apply.
Okay, so is it right to say that even after getting initiated, if a neophyte devotee like us, if he suffers some things, it is because of the mercy of the Lord, or is it like our karma slowly?
Yeah, but it's like a fan, Prabhu. It's like a fan, right? When you switch off the fan, it doesn't immediately stop. So diksha is like that switching off that fan, right? Which means that first the sinful life has to be stopped. Then gradually, based on our level of surrender and commitment, etc., Krishna will see, and then it is his prerogative whether he will destroy our sinful reactions or not. So there isn't any rule as such which can say, okay, this stage like this, you can start thinking that it's Lord's mercy. Like I said, like very exalted state devotees, because we have enough karma phala, right? But technically, if we fully surrender to Krishna, then we should not have any karma phala. But the problem is that we don't fully surrender to Krishna. We still have material attachments. So then yayata mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyam. So to the extent of our surrender, Krishna will treat us accordingly. So generally it is safe to assume that unless we have been in Krishna consciousness for many, many years of serious Krishna consciousness, we don't have to think that our life sufferings is, generally it's good to think that it's karma phala, so that we remain grounded in our, activities. But I said that because technically for advanced devotees, it will not be karma phala. It will just be Krishna's mercy. Glorify them, etc. Teach others a lesson, how to live, etc. But okay?
Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody has any other questions?